Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I'm coming back at you with another wargaming and miniature video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about my 15mm Ancients projects, Meg specifically, and some concerns I have. Plus, I got a shipment in from Old Glory. We're going to open that up, take a look at it. We're going to look at the shield transfers I got in for my Marian Romans. All right, so first thing I want to touch on is my army sizes. Okay, if you know Meg, and if you've been watching my videos, you know that Meg has three sizes. It's got Pacto, it's got Magna, and Maximus. Pacto is like your old DBA games. It's like super small, very few figures, very few bases, play on a 3x3 table. It's really good for like tournaments because it'll go super fast and it's compact. That's why it's called Pacto. But that's not the kind of games that I like to play. I actually considered making a bunch of my armies that I have, like my Carthaginians, my 100 Years' War English, my Burgundians, and my Republican Romans, my Germans, my Macedonians, or whatever. I thought about making them Pacto just so that I could get more armies done faster. Right? I considered it. I just recently considered it. I said, why don't I just make a Pacto army? Because it's like 1/3 the number of figures, so it should be like super fast. But then I realized in my head of heads, my inner monologue basically told me, don't do that. Because I'll paint... Because I won't play Pacto. I'm not going to play Pacto. Even though I'll have all these armies on the shelf, I won't use them. I need them to be at least Magna. Magna is a good size for casualties and battlefield size and numbers of figures. The units look like units. They don't look like just a stand. And so I pretty much resorted to building Magna armies, which is 2/3 the size of an army of Maximus. But my Macedonians, when I built them, I've already built them under Maximus. So I said, why don't I just build all my armies under Maximus, and that way when we play, we'll have all the figures we're ever going to need for Maximus. But I'm not going to play Maximus. I pretty much know, and I pretty much have focused on Magna. I'm going to play Magna. So I went back to my armies and I looked. Well, Macedonians done. They're Maximus. But But if I was to play Magna, I could probably do one of the successor armies because the phalanxes are smaller, so I can have more phalanxes. But the Germans, I made a bunch of war bands. Let's call them war bands in flexible, right? Because that's what the Germans designate their units as, is flexible. But and then I thought, well, let's make a Maximus. Remember I was talking about all my units are going to be Maximus. So I went back to my figures and I looked. I could do it without having to paint any new figures if I converted them from flexible to loose. Because flexible uses a 4-figure base and a 3-figure base. Like it's 50-50, 4-3, 4-3, 4-3, where loose is just 3-3-3-3. So there's all those bases that have 4. I could steal a figure off of those bases to make other bases, and it would have made my army a Maximus army. It would have blew it up to a Maximus size. I realized and you could do that with the Germans. There's the Cherussi that are all loose, but I've decided to play Magna, and so I don't need to do that. And so I put them on the shelf, organize them per Magna, and I realized I'm missing only 3 units. I'm missing a Cav unit, a Javelin unit, and a Noble unit. Once I make those 3 units, they'll be up to speed. They'll be Magna. Right. So basically, I'm gonna do something called Magna Plus. Something I just made up. Which basically means I'm gonna do a Magna army, but I'm gonna have additional units just in case I ever do a Maximus. But that's not the focus. The focus is Magna. But now, I also do like one of each of the allies, the auxiliaries and stuff. I go in and say, okay, well, I'm going to put some, like for my Macedonians, I have the Thracians, I have the Greek hoplites, I have the Illyrians, I have all these other units. And if you were to put them to points, like the entire Magna or Maximus army with all the additional subordinate troops and stuff, it's well over 10,000 points, right? It's like 1,500 points. And you're not supposed to play with 15. I think 10 is you can, I suppose. You can play with whatever. But I think 10 is like the understood norm. And so, yeah, they're already overdone, right? So I plan to do unit maximums. Like if it says you can have 60 bases, I'm going to have 60 bases. And then I'm going to look at my next unit. If it says I can have 12, I'm going to have 12. That way there's always that option to go with all or some, and then the Cav with all or some. So basically it's just going to give me I'm going to make a complete army, but it's not necessarily by points. It's by what it says in the army list is the maximum available. And then when we go to play, I'll break it down into points, which means a bunch of figures will probably still be on the shelf. Okay, that's out of the way. Got that. I'm playing Magna. Okay, so back to this. These MDF boards. Okay, this is a 2mm MDF, and it's pretty sturdy, right? It's got a little bit of a bend, but I'm forcing it to be bent. On the table, it's going to lay great. It's going to just lay right there, and it's tough. So a small board, 2mm, should be no problem. But your standard MDF is 3mm, and this is 3. And this is going to be a lot sturdier. And if I make any big pieces of terrain, it's better to be on the 3mm to prevent any kind of warping or whatever. These boards that I bought on Amazon, this is a 12-inch by 12-inch board. It's smooth on both sides. When I buy MDF at Lowe's, I get a smooth side, and on the other side, it's got like a herringbone pattern or some kind of texture on the other side, which in the past I would lay on the table so that it wouldn't move around. But in the future, if I ever do it, I'm going to do it this way. and texture over the bumps, so that the bottom will still be flat. That's just future me. Okay, so let's talk about my post-it note here. This was me going through the measurements and for terrain and converting them down from Maximus, because these numbers are Maximus numbers. And this little note on the second line at the bottom says Magna, asterisk, sizes and distances reduced to 2/3, rounded up. Okay, now remember, everything is in base widths. It's not in inches. So if something was 3 inches, it would be very easy to make it a 2-inch item, right? But when something is 10 base widths, you go with 2/3 of that, which is 2 1/3, something like that. Or is it 3 1/3, right? So that's going to round it up to 4, because remember it says round up. Not 4. Hold on. It was going to be 6 2/3, right? That is 2/3 of 10 is 6 2/3. So it'll round up to 7. So I put on here 7 base widths. Okay, so that is on compulsory items. You have a couple of compulsory items you have to put on the table. Those are big, and then you have a number of optional items, and those are small. Okay, so my compulsory items need to be up to 7 base widths. It doesn't have to be 7. It can be up to 7. But there is a minimum. The minimum is 6 base widths, which that's easy math, 4 base widths with Magna, right? So 4 to 7, and that's what I've got on my post-it right here. 4 to 7 base widths is a Magna compulsory item. Okay, so if something is 5 or 6 base widths, it still falls under the compulsory, it's fine, right? Okay. The optional items, optional is 4 to 8, right? So this is where it gets a little tricky. So what is 2/3 of 8? Well, 3 would be 9, so it's not 3, right? But why do I have 6? What the heck? It's like 5 2/3 or something like that. So rounded up, it's 6. And then the minimum is 4, which is like 1 if it's 2/3, it's going to be 2 and change, so 3. So I know my notes here are kind of scribbly, but it's 3 to 6, right? So if I made a piece of terrain at 5 base widths, or anywhere between 4 and 6, if I make something between 4 and 6, it can be placed as compulsory or optional because it fits into both size categories. But I'm going to try to make some close to 7, and I'm going to try to make some close to 3, and a bunch of stuff in between. Right. Now, compulsory is these guys right here, and if it's very dense or dense, it requires, well, first of all, not featureless, but everything else, open, normal, dense, very dense, all of them require difficult terrain, right? Open says one, rough or open, or difficult. Normal says two, rough or open, or difficult. So, but dense and very dense, it's another story. It says one, rough and open, and two, difficult. So right there, you know you're going to need at least two difficult for dense, and very dense is two, rough or open, and two, difficult. So you're looking at 4 pieces of terrain for compulsory maximum, right? And 2 of them are going to be difficult. And up to 2 of them is going to be rough or open, right? So you're going to have to, I'm going to have to make a collection of terrain pieces. Now your optional items says up to 3 any. That's per player. This is total on the table. This is per player. So if it's a very dense table, you could have up to 6 optionals, 3 per player. Okay, having said that, no, doesn't matter what it is, difficult, open, rough, towns, farms, hills, whatever it is, doesn't matter right now. I'm worried about making the base first and then adding to it the required toppings, if you want to call it that. Okay. So I got these for the 12 by 12s to make my compulsory items. I realized I wasn't going to be able to make, because I considered this, I wasn't going to be able to make compulsory Maximus, because that needed to be 10 base widths. And this giant stick is only 9 base widths. I could add 1 more base width, and you're looking, it's not big enough, right? There's no way. But if I was to make Magna, and which is 7 maximum base widths, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's right there. Look at that. I could do a little trimming on 2 sides, cut this and then cut that, and then I could have 7 on both sides, and I could have some really massive compulsory items, which is what I want. Of course, I'll round some edges and maybe cut in, maybe not. But there could be, and I got to make a couple of difficults. Is it on the backside? It is. So these will be able to make compulsory items, no problem. And most of them need to be difficult, which are the red ones, right? So we're looking at a village. I plan to make a village, a Gaelic village, actually. And then there's a town. I plan to make a Roman town. I've got Roman forged in battle. I got a Roman village or Roman town. I guess it's 5 buildings coming in. So I'm going to make a town and a village. The village is going to be more rural. It's going to have like fencing, and I ordered some cows and goats. It's cows and pigs, I think. I'm going to put them in the village, and the town is going to be more orderly, structured. It's going to be Roman. But then down here, there's sand dunes, wadi, and sandy ground. But that's only in a desert area, and right, I think that's what D is. Desert, yep. I'm not really playing in the desert. But I do plan to maybe do some Archimedes Persians, and if I do that, I think they have a desert as an option. But the Persians are further down the line. And I'm not doing jungle, right? But This F is forest, and I think the Gauls have forest, so I need to make a forest. A couple of them, right? Uh, it says marsh also in the forest, but I don't think I'm going to make a marsh. I could. I just not in any exciting way do I want to do that. Coastal. The Romans have coastal, so they should have mountains and marsh. Maybe I should just make a marsh. Um, they should have orchards, vineyards, which I'm going to do those. So I'm definitely going to do just just putting it out there. I'm definitely going to do a forest, mountains, which a mountain is going to be like much higher, maybe 2 layers of foam instead of just 1 layer of foam. So when I make my hill, I might put a giant piece of foam, and then I might put a piece of foam here and a piece of foam there, making like a little saddle or something to make it obviously higher. Steep and uneven slopes that are difficult to move across. Uphill combat if entirely on slope and nearer the center ridge than your opponent. Okay. That basically means you're higher. I plan to do vineyards and orchards, town and village, for sure. That's absolutely there. Now, open areas, an open area is basically just going to be a base, and I can use a mountain base, I can use a forest base, I can use whatever, and put it out on the table and claim that that's open terrain. Just tell my opponent, okay, this is open terrain. And then before the actual game starts, or before we start deploying, once we're done setting up terrain, just pull that piece off because it's going to leave a hole, which is open terrain. So not worried about making any open terrain. That's not something you need to make. I'll just use other bases to represent the open terrain. Hills. I do plan to make some gentle slope hills, but you still have up. It basically does the exact same thing as a mountain, but it has the same effects as a mountain. It's just not difficult terrain to move through. Okay. Rocky ground. I don't know if I'm going to do rocky ground. It's flat ground with patches of rock. I already have a base that I sprinkled a whole bunch of little rocky pebbles on. I could just hold on to that and call it rocky ground. Plowed fields. I definitely want to do some plowed fields. Tall crops. I've got some. What do they call those things? Doormats, right? And I can turn those into tall crops. Boundaried fields. Okay. That's basically a field with a hedge around it or a fence or something like that. It says fields that have hedges or walls around them and are potentially defensible. And over here it says cover is only after 800. So that's late war, almost at the end of the game. Any bases defending the edge can get cover after 800. Now, special rules, it says obstacles are 800, or barricades are from 800. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. Obstacles are pre-800. Barricades are after 800. A maximum of 1 per pre-laid town or village. So if there's a town or a village on the table, then you're allowed to have a boundaried field. and I will make some fields with, and I don't have to make them plowed fields. I don't have to make any gardening or anything. I just need to make a base with like clump foliage around the edge, making it look like it's got a hedge. And that's going to be easy to make. And then I could still use those as plowed fields and just say or tell my opponent, okay, this doesn't have a boundary. Those hedges, ignore that. Okay, and then woods. I'm definitely going to do some woods. So a woods is basically like a forest, but I'm going to tell you both of those are basically going to be just the base with grass on it, and maybe a little bit of diorama work on the inside, but you know, like deadfall or whatever. But I don't plan to put any trees on it. 0 trees, because I'm going to use my individual trees and place them on the base so that when figures move through, you can move the trees around. So those are going to be easy to make. Everything here is going to be easy to make. It's just doing it. Okay, so that's compulsory, right? But that'll fit a compulsory. What about these optionals, right? Which all of those can also be optionals because it says any, right? And an optional is 3 to 6 base widths. And I got these littler pieces because I was experimenting and trying to figure out what's a good size. And these guys are exactly or just over 5 base widths wide, right? And that's going to be, that'll fit into compulsory and optional. So I could do that. And then how many base widths long is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little over 6. So if I was to just chop a little bit off the end of this board, it'll be a rectangle and not a square, but it'll still fall within the 3 to 6 base widths, right? Because it's not bigger than 6 on this side, but it is just over 6 on that side, right? So I got to cut like a 1/2 inch off of this end, and this size would be perfect for my optionals. Okay, so I'm set on those. Got to cut a little bit off of the 12 inch and a little bit off of this 8 inch, and it should be fine for both base sizes in Magna. Now, in Maximus, the what do you call it? The 10 base widths, right? That's 400 millimeters or 40 centimeters. I think I've already figured this out, but I'm going to do it again. It's like 15 and 3/4 inch. So a 15-inch piece of terrain is just way too big. Now, compulsory can be as small as 6 base widths, right? Okay, it can be as small as 6. Should be 24, right? Yeah, 24. Which is like pretty close to 9.5. So if you want to make some small compulsories, you can make them 9.5. I could take these 12s and it would still be okay because a 12 inch is, what did we say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. So uh, that would still fall between the 6 and 10. And it would also fall under the optional 4 to 8. So you could use a 12 by 12 for both your compulsory and your optional in Maximus if you wanted. That's not what I'm doing. Okay, working our way down the line. As you know, this video is going on a little while, but that's okay. We're doing, I'm doing Marian Romans next. I got these Marian Roman legionary shield transfers from Old Glory. Tear, rip, destroy. There we go. If you're out there watching this video and you don't know about Little Big Men decals, please go watch my how to apply Little Big Men decal tutorial, because I had a customer email me saying that they got their Macedonian decals and none of them worked. And I have a feeling that this customer was treating them like water slide decals. And as you know, Little Big Men decals are not water slide decals. They have they're unique, and they have their own way of adhering to the model, and I bet you this guy didn't know. So I directed him to the tutorial. Okay, so when I ordered these, I'm going to tell you, when I ordered these, I thought I was doing Maximus, because I keep flip-flopping, but I'm doing Magna, which a Magna Marian Roman Legion is flexible. So if there's 4 bases, you're looking at 8 figures in the front and 6 figures in the back. So that is only 14 models making up a Legion. Just 14. And each of these have 60? No, 30? Yeah. Yeah, there's 30 here. So these could easily be 2 units. One sheet could be 2 units. So there's 2, and there's 2. Now, believe it or not, those are different decals. This has pointed wings, and this has squared off wings. But they're pretty much, pretty much the same thing. Here's pointed wings. Both of these are pointed wings. And this white one has squared off wings. And then these have wreaths. And this has wreaths. Green, but that's okay. Okay, so if I'm doing minimal, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 2. There's 18 legions. I'm not doing that many legions. Let's pull up my late Republican Google Doc. So yeah, see, legionaries, 14 men. That's if there's 4 bases. And there's also, I could do up to 14 legionnaires and Caesar's 10th Legion. uh, you would think it would say in the army list, upgrade, 4 or 6 bases to the 10th Legion, but that's not what it says. It says, okay, right here, the late Republican Romans. It says heavy cav, I can have a maximum of 4 bases. Yikes, right? But the Legionaries, I can have up to 56 bases. So that's what I'm going to shoot for, 56 bases. And then, I can upgrade some of these legions to veterans. That'd be great. Not all of them, 16 bases. And they're all in UG size 4. So they're all 4 bases. And of course, they're flexible. But when you get down here, it says Caesar's 10th Legion. It doesn't say upgrade a unit to the 10th Legion. It just says 10th Legion. You can have 4 of them, and the size is 4. Because see, there's examples here. Upgrade your horse archers, right? And it gives them additional abilities. But it doesn't say that about the 10th Legion. It doesn't say upgrade or anything. So that's in addition to the 56. So that's a total of 60 legionary bases, right? If I went maximum. So 14. Yeah, so each of these can easily be 2 legions. Now, if I wanted to build them. All right, so this right here is Maximus. And back up. What am I doing? There we go. Maximus, I can have up to 80 bases and upgrade the Legion, and then I could have Caesar's Legion, which maximum 8 bases. So here would be 88 bases, and they can be in 4, 6, or 8. So at that point, one of these is an 8 base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Half the bases are 3s. So yeah, this could easily be enough for Maximus. And that's kind of the direction I was going at. Because you could have 10 units of 8 bases, right? So this would have been only 9. So that wouldn't have been there's a few extra pieces, but yeah. So I still could do a bunch of big units and then just split them in half when playing Magna, because Maximus could be up to 8 bases in a Legion, and Magna is only going to be 4 bases in a Legion. You could also do 4 in Maximus, but if you're playing Maximus, why only have 4 base Legions? Okay, and finally, I want to open this up because I'm interested to see what we got. Okay, packing paper. Invoice, which we'll check if I have any problems. Which I don't anticipate. Old Glory is really good. Okay, so there is a large bag, a bundle right here. And there is 6 Republican Roman battle group number 19s. Okay, we'll be opening those up and taking a look. 36. Oh, look at these. Elephantios. And that's not Republican Roman, that is Rise of Rome from Field of Glory. And this is Immortal Flame? Immortal Flame, I think. Yeah, which is the Greek. Yeah, these should be Macedonian elephants. 2 elephants, and it comes with spears. Great. So that's for my Macedonian army. And then 21 and 26. What the heck are those guys? Okay. We've got elephants. Oh, okay. Spanish Scutari. Warriors. It's just called Warriors. Are they Gaelic? Are they Germanic? They kind of look a little Germanic. I don't think I even need those. These guys are labeled just archers, which that's pretty much what they look like, is archers. Some of them have soft hats. And then this is legionaries. Okay. And there should be 6 of these packs in there. We're not doing a what's in the box or anything. But I'm counting. Okay, so that's 10, 10, 10, and 2. Okay, so 32. If I was only doing 14, which is the Legionary Magna, right? You're getting 2 legions per bag. This obviously doesn't have any command elements or anything like that. So, but I also already have a bunch of command elements. So that's going to extend this even further. But with 6 bags, I can easily make 12 legions, which or 12 half legions in Magna. So, or 6 legions. I could probably do 6 or 7 legions in Magna with all my command. Because if I was to break these up into 14 and 14, and it leaves 4 extra, I get 4 times 6 bags. So another unit. So 12, I could get 13 units. Maybe 14, bringing it back down to like maybe 7 maximum. Basically, I can make a bunch of units. I can make more than enough to do it. I have some other Caesarians from Blue Moon, and if I counted right, that's like 100 miniatures plus 6 times 32. What am I getting? 200? 192. Okay, so this has 192 plus the other 100 from Blue Moon. I've got almost 300. I probably do if I count some of the other command elements that I've got. So let's just call it 300. And if I was to maximize my units for Maximus, 88 bases maximum, right? Let's do a little math here. There we go. Okay, so 88 bases means 44 at 4 figures and 44 at 3 figures. That's 308. Yeah, 308 legionaries to do a Maximus army. And I think I've got that. I think I've got 300 now with these and the other figures. Okay, these are the Scutari. That's pretty straightforward. These are archers. But this says warriors. And they look Celtic or Germanic. I don't think I need these. I think because I think I was going to convert from Magna to Maximus, but I already have a bunch of Germanics. Okay, guys, I think these Germanics are going to be going up for sale. I think that was an over order by me. Or maybe I was planning on making some Germanic allies, because I already have the Germans, right? Let's double check the army list. And let's check Magna, because I'm not doing Maximus. There's the Spanish Scutari, right? Which, that's that pack. It's loose, and I can have 6 bases, so I'll definitely be making those guys. Here it is, Gaelic Foot. Yeah, I could have 12 bases of those guys. And they're flexible. Oh yeah, bolt shooters. I think I ordered some bolt shooters from Forged in Battle. So those will probably be coming in with that Roman village. Okay, so there's archers. It says only for Eastern armies. So I don't really need them for what I'm doing. Because I'm doing the Germanic invasion or whatever you call it. Oh, but there's these archers right here. Okay. Yeah, I think I did slingers, archers, and javelin men on my, and there's Cretan archers. Oh, Italy and Eastern. So yeah, I'm just going to do these 3 units right there. I already have slingers and javelin men. From my mid Republicans, I can just pull them. I also have Numidian cavalry. I might be able to put together some of them too. There's the Gaelic foot. I have some Thracians as already part of my Macedonians, but that's only for Eastern armies, and I'm not doing an Eastern army. I'm doing Western. See, Western armies campaigned in Gaul, Italy, Spain, and Africa. The Eastern armies campaigned in Greece, Asia, Syria, and Egypt. So this is the one I'm working on right there. So the Scutari, the Gaelic, the archers. Okay, I think I'm going to be keeping all of those. And then the elephants are for my Macedonians, and there are 4 of them. And I have a feeling that, okay, Greek and Macedon, Alexander is 2408. Yeah, I had a feeling. It says 3. Maximum unit 3. 2 or 3. That's Magna. But in Maximus, you can have 4. I can have 2 units of 2, a unit of 3, or a unit of 4. So, because my Macedonians are already Maximus, I might as well. Plus, I've got some Indian foot that I haven't painted, and it's after 326, and this is after 326 as well. So, wait. Yeah, so only between 326 and 323. So for 3 years, you can use the Italians, the Indians, and the elephants. Alexander can be present from 338. Or from 336, he's in charge. Yeah, so elephants and Indians, I need to put them together. And if I want to have a Maximus Alexander army, I could do up to 4. So instead of just doing 3 for Magna and putting an elephant on the shelf unpainted, I'm just going to go ahead and do all 4. All right, guys. I think you guys are caught up with my update. I don't plan to start these until I have my commissions finished. I've got a couple of commissions I'm painting for customers. Once I get those painted and finished and shipped out, then I'll be working on my Marians. The elephants are going to sit off to the side for a while, but the rest I'm going to paint. I don't know if I want to just paint a Magna army because it'll be faster to paint, or if I want to just go ahead and do the entire Maximus army. One good thing about doing a Maximus army is at 8 per unit is I can split it up into 2 armies using 4 figure or 4 base units. So I could do something like a Civil War, You know, where Caesar returns home and crosses the Rubicon and all that against Pompey. That's something I might be able to do. Roman versus Roman. That would be pretty cool. So yeah, I'll probably just go ahead and do a Maximus army, just so that I can have all that taken care of. All right, guys. Thanks for coming out and checking this out. I knew it was long, but I'll try to edit out some of this stuff. And I will see you in the next video.